Hi, I'm Harriet Tinker, and here are this week's top stories that we have for you. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney's popularity keeps drowning in new polls. Canada's most prestigious civilian honor does not represent its proud heritage. Some parents and educators share experiences and challenges with COVID-altered learning on Diversity TV school panel coming after this Diversity TV community newscast. Now the news in detail. Canada's most prestigious civilian award does not represent its proud heritage. Most of the new appointees to the Order of Canada in 2020 were white men. 175 people picked for the prestigious civilian honor last year had just over one-third women, about 7.4% members of visible minorities, and 5.1% Indigenous in a country that boasts of over 20% visible minorities. The Black North Initiative, advocating for cooperation to improve the diversity of the boardrooms and executive suites, wrote a letter to Governor General Julie Payette complaining about the low number of Black Order of Canada recipients and has suggested names of potential individuals. Premier Kenney is sinking in the polls. If Alberta elections were held today, the NDP will form government with about 44% of the votes to 40% for the UCP, matching a 47 seats majority to 40 seats for the UCP, according to a January 9, 2021 updates of the political website 338canada.com. Another highlight from the political website is the complete oranging of Edmonton, with the only blue UCP seat held by the loyal Kenneyite, the Honourable Casey Madu, Alberta Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, is turning orange, while the seat held by MLA David Shepherd, Alberta NDP health critic, is projected to be safe. Fashion of the Week. This week, Fashion of the Week takes us to meet the creative young Ropa, a Calgary-based entrepreneurial designer who has expanded her shoe and handbag shop just 4 months after she launched in Chinook Mall in Calgary.
Hello, my name is Ropa Mpambwa. I'm the founder and CEO of Celine Rose. Celine Rose is a shoe and handbag store. I do design one shoe in 5 different heel heights. I wanted to solve a heel height problem. I wanted to have shoes that come in 5 different heel heights, 12 centimeters, 9 centimeters, 6 centimeters, 3.5, and also flats. I wanted to give women options in heel height. I wanted women to buy shoes that they're comfortable walking in. I wanted options for colors, options in prints, options in texture. So I wanted to give women options and just a variety of options and outfit choices.
Diversity Profile of the Week. This week, we're proud to highlight a teeth doctor in Red Deer, Dr. Femi Babalola of Crossway Dental on 4807 50th Avenue, Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. Dr. Babalola founded Crossway Dental Studio in 2013 after graduating from New York University College of Dentistry in 2010. He ran his dental practice for some years in Ontario before moving to Red Deer in 2017. He's married to Taiwo, blessed with 3 wonderful daughters.
My name is Femi Babalola. I'm a dentist and I operate out of Red Deer. The office is right on 4807 58th Avenue, very close to the bus terminal. All I do is teeth. I take care of teeth, improve your smile. And when you come to Crossway Dental, you smile more.
Coronavirus Project Cool Times. If you are feeling sick or have any symptoms related to COVID-19, stay home. They support if you need to stay home while you are sick or in isolation due to COVID-19. The Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit provides $500 per week for up to a maximum of 2 weeks for workers who are sick or need to self-isolate due to COVID-19 or have an underlying health condition that puts them at a greater risk of getting COVID-19. The Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit also provides $500 per week for up to 26 weeks per household for parents who need to care for a child who is sick or because schools, daycares, or care facilities are closed due to COVID-19.
As of next Monday, January 18th, outdoor social gatherings consisting of up to 10 people will be allowed. We have to encourage everyone to still continue following the health guidelines during outdoor social gatherings. And what does that mean? It's wearing masks, it's keeping at least 2 meters apart, and it's refraining from using any indoor facilities while gathering with other folks. Indoor social gatherings, let me be clear, are still not allowed. Also, starting January 18th, personal and wellness services may reopen, but by appointment only. Now, these services include businesses like hair salons, barbershops, aesthetics, manicure and pedicure businesses, reflexology, piercing and tattoo shops, and other of our many different personal and wellness services businesses throughout the province. Appointments should be limited to one-on-one services, and businesses and clients are expected to keep following the public health guidelines. We are also easing restrictions on how many people can attend funeral services. We're raising the limit to 20 people, but still, funeral receptions are still prohibited.
We've had so many businesses, and this kind of goes to the Alberta spirit. We've had so many businesses that have started up during this pandemic. It would be almost counterintuitive to so many of us that they would see an opportunity to grow a business and to hire people in the middle of a pandemic and start a business. But then again, so many of them have been impacted by recent health measures. So we are expanding the small business relaunch grant to include businesses that have started up during this pandemic from March 1st of 2020 coming forward. They will now be eligible for up to $15,000 of the relaunch grant. That is going to be the eligibility for that. The program will be available online in the first week of February. And to those small business entrepreneurs that started up in the middle of the pandemic, we want to thank you for being just Albertan. Like that, nothing says Alberta like a small business owner starting up in the middle of a pandemic. So we want to be there to support you. We know that these recent health measures have impacted your businesses. It'll be the same eligibility criteria for the relaunch grant that we had there pre-existing. So if you've had 30% revenue drop during this pandemic, you will be eligible for that relaunch grant now of up to $15,000. So again, to all the Albertans out there, we thank you so much for what you've done, the sacrifices that you've made. For the small business owners out there that are going to be able to open up again this next week, good luck with it. Make sure you continue to follow the health protocols, keeping everybody healthy that you service. So again, thank you for what you do to help make sure that we can keep Alberta, moving forward throughout this pandemic.
In Diversity TV International News, Uganda elections takes place on January 14, 2021. Yoweri Museveni is being vigorously challenged by Robert Nyankulangi, aka Bobby Wine. There has been social media banned by the government of Uganda, and Bobby Wine's private security has withdrawn their protection. Dish of the Week. Our dish of the week brings back Chef Selassie of Selassie's Grill in Edmonton to make justice to mango that turns into a delicious mango salad for us. Selassie's Grill serves Western, Chinese, and African food. Opened just a month ago opposite Stadium on 8604 112th Avenue, Edmonton, with a large parking space, a bar, a large dining space, a private meeting room, and most importantly, delicious Western, African, and Chinese dishes.
That's a mango salad. This thing, we have red pepper, green pepper, onions, and mango.
Announcements. The City of Calgary is building a long-term environmental strategy and action plan to provide a clear vision for protecting and improving Calgary's environment. Calgary wants to hear from you on what environmental challenges it faces and what should be prioritized in Calgary's environmental direction as it works towards being a more ecologically sustainable and livable city. Have your say by visiting www.calgary.ca/environment to complete the survey. Edmonton is moving forward with focus. Discover how the city plan will guide the city to a future where it will adapt, it will welcome you home, it will work and thrive, it will connect more easily, it will be climate resilient. Check out the city's new digital platform at www.cityplan.edmonton.ca to learn how the city is getting ready for a brighter future for all Edmontonians. Free adult Zumba with Women of Vision, Calgary on January 23rd. The Zoom ID is 831-1835-0241 and the password is 732331. Women of Vision is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. The topic, Mental Health and Suicide Awareness, January 14, 2021 at 5 p.m. The meeting ID is 834-4031-6947. Passcode 312228. In continuation with the series on feedback on provincial anti-racism, advocacy, and race equity policy, the Alberta NDP caucus will be hearing from community leaders, advocates, and organizations involved with diverse communities across the province about their policies for the area of education, which will include both K-12 and post-secondary. It will be held on Saturday, January 16th, 2021. To register, please go to www.albertandpcaucus.ca/antiracism/education. Thank you for watching Diversity TV Community Newscast from Harriet Tinker. See you next week. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you are the first to get the video when we upload it. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Also, check out on our website at diversityplus.ca. We now begin our education panel, Diversity TV in the Community. COVID-19 has changed the way we live today, the way we shop, connect, celebrate, work, and educate our kids. Some parents face challenges with kids learning at home, running all over the house to pull kids to come take part in Google Meetups or do homework. Others have learned a lot about their kids' learning needs, calling the teacher for tips, while others have done well at home, displaying a flair of independence. As part of our Diversity TV panel and Project Cool Times, we will be featuring a school panel to share challenges and solutions of parents and kids, sharing the challenges and successes of in-person and online studies for kids. What is the best way forward on dealing with challenges as COVID-19 becomes ever present in our lives? If you're a parent or educator interested to share questions, challenges, please call your school principal. Panelists for Diversity TV school panel includes Sandra Akua from Edmonton, Evelyn Tinker from Edmonton, Liz Riza and Dora Brielle from Calgary, Fobete Dingha from Calgary, Chair of Edmonton Public School Board Trustee Tricia Easterbrooks. I guess I'll let Rhea carry on with the facilitation of the meeting. Carry on, Rhea.
Hi, Brielle. Hi. How has online schooling been for you?
She's basically saying that she doesn't like the fact that one school is on for like 2 weeks and then she has to go home another 2 weeks. She doesn't like that fluctuation. She wants it to be either online school or physical school. And she also doesn't like when she's doing online school, the fact that there are a lot of homework that are due almost the same day. And she feels like she's rushed into her school life now that she does it when she does it online. But
yes,
it doesn't affect her marks, she also said. You still cannot hear?
How has online schooling been for you?
Well, thank you so much, Rhea. Fobete is my name. I work for the Center for Newcomers, and looking at online schooling, I have a daughter who now goes to school from my bonus room. Online schooling to me has become, I don't know if I should use the word another pandemic, because I think I'm now another teacher. And it's become, I just realized it's just too much workload for the children or for my daughter to do. There's a lot of work, and we have to ensure that she does that work, and the time limit is just too small or limited for them to do that work and submit the work. And now with technology, it becomes another issue, because my laptop that I work from home has become her main source of working tool. So we are now sharing the laptops, right? So it becomes a problem. I can't really do anything because she's at school. And if I start, normally she starts from 8:30 by 9, then at noon. So if I start my work, let's say 9:30, and I'm in a serious concentration or doing something, you realize it's already noon. You have to sign out. She has to come take over. So it really becomes just too strenuous, and at times it affects me, because once I focus to do something, at the end I realize I can't even finalize, because I need to stop, then allow my daughter to use the laptop, then I come back again. So that workload for me is just too much for me to handle. So the online schooling has become, like I say, another pandemic to me. It has really added an extra work to me, and I do believe that the school board, they were supposed to think about these and also rationalize the homework they give to these kids to do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dinga, for sharing that. I think what you have just shared a lot reflects the sentiments of many parents.
Experience is a little bit different because my kids are older. I noticed everybody else's kids are a little bit younger. Mine are in high school, both of them. And so I found when COVID first started and they went online, it was different than it is now, because what happened is the school board ended up doing it in quarters, cut it up into quarters. So it was much less time for each subject. So I agree with the last speaker when he said that there's so much condensed into one, so there's a lot of homework. That's true. With mine, the biggest thing I find is I have, like, I don't have to teach them or anything because it is high school, but I find that I have to follow up quite a bit. Like, I have to come home, and find out, did you do your homework? What did you do today? Are you having any issues that maybe we should talk to your teacher, for extra help or extra assignments to help you understand the subject? So I found a lot of that. So for my kids being older, I find they have to be self-disciplined to be able to work online and do their work by themselves, because I'm not home. I'm not as lucky enough to work at home, so I have to go to work. And so I depend on them, right? I have to make sure that they each have a place at home where they can each sit quietly by themselves, because it's really audio, so it's quite loud. So you can't have them both in the same room. That was the biggest thing, is finding them different rooms, each one of them, that wasn't distractive or anything like that. They could actually just concentrate on learning. So, and the other thing I found was that they're no face-to-face, right? Because they're used to that too, right? At school, it's face-to-face. You see your teacher, you talk to your students, but at home, it's, you're just looking at the computer, and depending on your student, right? My kids it depends on what subjects they're taking too as well. So yeah, they just have to be able to concentrate, and flexibility too, right? They have to be flexible now because they're in school and they get their breaks. They don't go to, you got to make sure when you go for your break, you got to come back, right? I'm not home to tell them you have to go back. So they have to be able to go back by themselves. So it's a lot of follow-up, I found. The only advantage I like about this is I don't have to worry about them taking the bus. I don't have to worry about what's going on out there. If it's snowy, they're home. But for the most part, I think, being in school will be the best.
My kids are actually on the other side of the topic. So they are not in online. They're actually in school. But I quite remember when this whole COVID started, for us, I would describe it as it was a nightmare when they had to come home, because I have kids between the ages of 3 and 11. So daycare was closed, and then I had 3 school-age kids who were at home. So not only did I have to deal with school and schoolwork, and things were not pretty set up like the way it is right now, where they could go on Google and the teachers, takes over and teaches them. Literally, I had to do the whole thing. I had to do the whole teaching, the whole homework. Yes, the teachers were available. They did made it known to us that, yes, they were available if we had any questions, but most of the work was put on us. And on top of that, I had a toddler at home. So what made mine also a little bit challenging was the fact that both my husband and I were actually healthcare workers. And so automatically I had to quit work. Well, not quit work, but stop work and come and stay home. And so my children goes to charter school. So the part that I find like extremely challenging was the fact that, yes, the Ministry of Education had come out and said that they were going to make it in such a way that it's not so difficult for us to handle. So they were supposed to, I think they had cut down on the hours, the number of subjects, but charter school, which is where my children go to, did not go by that. My children still had to do all the subjects, including phys ed, art, name it. So we would get up every morning at 9 o'clock and didn't finish schoolwork sometimes till like 5 or 5:30. And so I thought I was going to lose my mind. Mental health wise, it was really hard. I was burnt out. And so that's what I can say basically about the online challenge, aspect of it.
We're going to move on to Trisha. She is on the Edmonton Public School Board trustee, but she's also a parent. So if you could share some of your experience with online learning.
Yeah, thanks, Rhea. Thanks, first of all. It's so good to hear these stories, I have two kids. They're both in-person learning. But last week, as many of you, I had both my children home. My daughter's in grade 7. She's in junior high. So she spent all of December online learning. And I really relate to parents who are doing the online learning and just how challenging it is. We are parents to our kids first. And we're not trained as teachers. We're not teachers. There's a reason why we send our kids to school, so that they can be with their peers and be with their friends, and that they can learn alongside teachers. So my experience has been mostly with my kids being in person. It was a tough decision though. As a parent who, my dad's in his 70s and he's got Parkinson's disease. And so I had to keep him in mind, as I'm sure lots of families in the city of Edmonton have to think about, your extended family and the impact that your decisions make on your extended family. I do think that, the choice that Edmonton Public, and I can only speak about Edmonton Public, I can't speak about charter schools or Edmonton Catholic, but at Edmonton Public, one of the good things is the choice in my mind, because, when we went back to school in September, knowing that we were going to have COVID in our schools, I felt and I pushed very strongly to make sure that there was that choice, because sending our kids back to school is not a choice that works for everybody. And we're the only division that's offering 4 points through the year to kind of opt in or opt out of whether you want to do the in-person or whether you want to do the online. So it was a hard choice. And I'd be keen to hear parents' perspective on how they made that decision. And what we're seeing is, as the year goes along, some parents are changing their mind. And I think they're changing their mind. In particular, you think about the huge increase in cases that we saw in November and December and the extra restrictions that we're all in right now. And so when we look at, it's broken up into 4 quarters, as someone mentioned. I think it was Fobetti who mentioned the 4 quarters. But when you look at the number of families who are choosing to learn online for Q3, which is the next quarter coming up, more families have chosen that. About 2,000 more families, in fact. And so we're seeing a slight increase in the number of families who are choosing online, which again, I think the choice is great, but I hear you. I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's easy. And certainly in the spring, my experience, who described it? I think it was Sandra who called it a nightmare. It was chaos. It was so hard, right? And, I sort of saw it from the other side, because I saw, and I'm not a teacher, I'm not an educator. I used to be a journalist. I ran for public office and I got elected to be a school board trustee. And to see it from the other side, to see educators and teachers and see how they tried to scramble in the spring so that our kids could learn, they did their best, but it was just so last minute and so rushed. And it's so different now. And I've heard that, but it's really good to hear those experiences from those of you who've done the online, because it's completely different. It's organized and there's Google Meets. But that being said, it's still really challenging. And I completely hear that and empathize with that.
Yeah, thank you, Trisha. About teacher and parent relations, how has everyone found those? Are they strained? Have you found new revelations? And yeah, well, first go to Dinga.
I think personally, I've not had enough time to really talk to my daughter's teacher. I think I recall there was a day that her teacher wanted to talk to her. Then there was a Google Meet or something like that. Then we had to put it on. Then she spoke to her just to find out how she's doing and how she's coping, because I think there was a time they were at home, then just trying to figure out, how she's coping with everything. But personally, I've not had time to really sit down and to, one-on-one with her teacher. So I'm just kind of the middleman in such a way that, I just see what is happening, but I've not really had that time to talk to the school or to the teacher.
So from an in-person perspective, I find generally the relationship between my kids' teachers and I are pretty good. Right from the beginning of every term, as parents, what we do is we do send each and every teacher an email letting them know that, hey, we're here to work together for the success of our kids. So whenever you feel like you need to reach us about anything at all, please feel free, and we do the same thing too. And I find emails, they're pretty effective at replying our emails, and so we do communicate that way. When I have or when the kids have any difficulties with any subject, I just send an email, and I find that they're pretty quick.
Just like the previous speaker, can you hear me? Just like the previous speaker, I too make sure at the beginning of every school year that I send an email introducing myself to the teachers, and I expect that if there is anything that goes wrong, to be able to communicate. And so far, I haven't been disappointed. I have good relationship with all my kids' teachers here. How about you, Brielle?
Like, my really
ask the question again. Ask them to repeat the
what
question.
was the question?
The question was, how have your relationship with the teachers been?
I haven't really been. I haven't had trouble with very many subjects. Usually, if I'm having trouble, I'll email my teacher after school, or probably ask my mom to email him. And I haven't really had trouble with anything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I haven't had any problems. I mean, in the beginning of the quarter, we get communication from the teachers saying, this is my email. If you have any questions, I'm going to be your, the teacher of your child. And they send us every day, we get daily summaries. I don't know if anybody else gets them, but daily summaries kind of outlining what they did today, what the homework is, and all the different subjects. So, and halfway through, we had parent-teacher meetings, and you had a choice of doing the Zoom call or a video call or an email, and you talk to the teacher one-on-one. I found that was really, really good, because you had more time. You set up the time yourself when you're able to go, as opposed to when you're in school and they set the time and you have to do it on their time. And it's really, there's lots of people there, so you can only have a few minutes. I found this was good this way. I was able to talk to the teachers however long I wanted to and discuss the issues, if there was any, with my kid. So I found I didn't have any problems with the teachers, a good relationships, and the kids had the same too. They communicated with the teachers as well.
Okay. It's so good to hear, because I think like relationships so important, and I think that open communication, especially, well, anytime with the teachers, important, but especially during a pandemic, just being open and transparent, like that's really something that we as a board of trustees are really pushing for, is that open and transparency from the provincial government. Just to give you an example, we have about 800 online teachers. So those are teachers that last year at this time were in our classrooms. And so they've had to learn a whole new skill set in terms of helping your kids teach online. So 800 teachers to support our online kids. And in fact, we're going to have to hire more because more families are choosing online, which again goes back to that really important choice option in my mind. It's nice to hear your voice, Brielle. And I just wanted to say, I also don't like the fluctuation. Sometimes, like when I'm interviewed by the media, I refer to it as a COVID coaster, like a roller coaster. You know, we're on this coaster, and sometimes we're in class and sometimes we're off, or it's same with our teachers, like they're having to isolate for 2 weeks, and then they come back into the classroom, and then there's another case and they have to go home and isolate again. So we're all on this COVID coaster, and those disruptions, like, they're not great for kids. They're not great for families. I think though, you know, if we could all, I think we all want to be back in person, obviously, but it needs to be safe. And we need to get off the COVID coaster. The other thing I'd just say quickly is I think that communication with teachers is so important because it's a whole new way of learning. And the other thing is on the technology side, like Fobeti, you mentioned that you're sharing your laptop with your daughter, right? And I can relate. I was doing the same with my son when he was home, and it's impossible to work, right? Like it's impossible. And so I don't know if you're a parent at Edmonton Public, but we have Chromebooks for rent. I'd really encourage you to reach out to your teacher. And then you have to, I believe, put down a small deposit just to ensure that you return it at the end of the year. But we've rented out something like 20,000 Chromebooks to students across the city. So yeah, they're there. We bought more. There's no way that technology should be a barrier for children's learning. And so if you're a parent of Edmonton Public, I believe Edmonton Catholic, if you're with Edmonton Catholic, they're doing something similar. I'm not sure of the details, but at Edmonton Public, those Chromebooks are available.
I'm in Calgary. I'm in Calgary.
Oh, you're in Calgary.
Yeah.
With, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know. But maybe it's worth asking. I feel so strongly, if we offer that online option, we need to, like, the whole belief behind public education is that it's accessible to everyone. And if you don't have the technology to access it, it's a problem.
Yeah, because I told my daughter that you have a piggy bag, whatever they call it. So, and she has been saving and say, well, we have to get you a Chromebook, get that thing, and I'm going to top it up, then I'll get you a Chromebook. And she was so excited about that. And I'm like, okay, before the end of the week, I'll take you and we get a Chromebook for you. And she's happy, and I'm looking forward towards that, to get her a Chromebook so that my own laptop can have some rest. I can have, control of my laptop. And
yeah, that's great to hear. And I know some school divisions offer rebates for Chromebooks, like you can get in on their bulk purchasing. Anyway.
Yes, I wanted to say, I just wanted to add that we did invite the Edmonton Catholic schools, as well as Calgary Catholic School and Calgary District. And unfortunately, because of the short time turnaround, they were not able to participate. So we will be inviting them again in the future. So I just thought I share that with all of you. So I think Evelyn was gonna say something.
Yeah, I just had a comment. I was gonna say the question that was asked before about why, the choice of picking online or going back to in school. For me, my kids started out being in school. I said, you know what, go to school. But what happened is then I got the call saying that, a student had COVID, tested positive. They didn't say who it was, a student or teacher, somebody in the class. And so they had to now stay home, right? Because just to be safe. And then that meant that I was worried about me and myself and everybody in the house. What does that mean? Do we have to, isolate as well, not go to work? So it was just too much, the up and down, and then it happened to my other kids' classroom as well. So I decided that was my choice. For the next quarter, I put them online just for my own peace of mind. That's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Let me just support what Evelyn just said, because I feel it's a chain reaction. Let's say you have 3 kids, so they go to 3 different schools. Today, you receive the letter that there is somebody with COVID, so your daughter or your son has to isolate. So everybody at home is going to affect them. So they have to isolate. After isolation, the next one comes with another case. So everybody has to isolate. So what is happening? Parents might not go to work for almost 3 to 4 months, right? So if the school system decides on online, let it be online. Because if they say they have to go in class, there are repercussions to that. Because we are trying to do social distancing, we are trying to limit the spread, but we cannot kind of some sort of a void check for parents to sign. If they choose in class, then they have to be prepared for that. These are the effects of in class. If somebody comes with COVID, then everybody has to isolate. It goes back at home, they have to isolate. And if they're working, they have to stop working. So I do believe that we have to choose one route. Online, and let it be online. It's going to help to reduce the spread as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. And I just want Tricia to kind of summarize and talk a bit about this from a public school perspective, and also touch a little bit on the mental health toll.
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate Rhea for you bringing that up. I guess a few things, like when we, so right now, all grades are back online, and you'll recall that in December, grades 7 to 12 were online. And Edmonton Public was actually pushing to keep grades 7 to 12 online. We were one school division amongst 60 in the province, 61. That's not the direction that the education minister made. She's the one who makes the decision about whether we're online or in person, or it's a mix of both, those different scenarios. So we work with the education minister to tell her, and these conversations like this are so helpful because we can share with her what's actually happening in the city of Edmonton, what's happening in our schools, what's happening in our communities, what's happening in the Northeast or the Southwest part of Edmonton, for example, right? But ultimately, like I said, she makes the decisions based on the data that she gets about what scenario we're in. The data is an interesting piece. And if you read the news recently, Edmonton Public, the Board of Trustees has been pushing for that data. Like, show us the data. How have you made these decisions? Again, open and transparency is just so important, right? The other thing I would say is that, and you've all touched on this, as we see cases rise in our city, we see that reflected in our schools. And that really, and I appreciate, Evelyn, your answer around the choice that you made, right? You didn't want to be on that COVID coaster, that COVID roller coaster. I hear you. You didn't want to have to take time off work because you'd be affected by the isolation if your kids were in isolation. Like, there's such a ripple effect, right? I think, I don't know, we're not there yet, but my hope is that when this is all over, we can really learn from this. We can improve our education system as a result of this. Like, the example was made around parent-teacher interviews. Like, yeah, those from the going forward, they should be online. It's way more convenient, for example. There's also high school students who are learning better online. There's high school students that we're hearing from who prefer online. I think it's way different for kindergarten to grade 6. So I think it's a way to kind of reimagine what public education looks like. We're not there yet. I don't personally have enough perspective. I feel like we're still in the middle of it all, in the middle of like a marathon, and we don't know when it's going to end. But I guess there's hope that I look forward to having that perspective in the future. As for mental health, serious. Like, I mean, as parents, we can talk about the impact it's had on us and the stress it's had on us. I don't know, with my own kids, I try to figure out how this has impacted them. And again, I don't know if we know yet as a society the long-term impacts that this pandemic is going to have on our children's mental health. So I think it's something we need to pay attention to. The last time I spoke with the education minister, I shared the fact that when this is all over and while we're in the middle of it, we need better supports and greater supports for kids and families, including families that are online. So we have mental health therapists inside our schools, but we need to make sure that our families that are learning online have access to those supports too, right? So I think the impact is significant. And I think though, like we are all going through this together at the same time. I think we're experiencing it differently. I think, some days are good, some days are bad, but I think the long-term effect on our children is something that as parents, we really need to pay attention to. And I can tell you that Edmonton Public and the teachers and administrators and the Board of Trustees are really paying attention to that. So.
Yeah, you're right about that, because I find with my kids being online, the biggest thing is being cooped up so much inside.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because before they had a choice, you could go out, you could do this, but now they're just stuck inside. And I guess it's up to me to find, get them to exercise or do whatever. But, that part is, a little bit something maybe for the future they could look at too as well.
Unfortunately, we have to cut it short because we have a limited amount of time. And thank you to Sandra, who had to go pick her, I think, son up from daycare. But thank you to everyone who joined, and hopefully we can have more of these conversations moving forward.
Thank you for watching Diversity TV Community Newscast from Harriet Tinker. See you next week. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you are the first to get the video when we upload it. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Also, check out on our website at diversityplus.ca.